but here's what's interesting about that. When you start talking about surveillance in a police state, half of Germany just 20-some-odd years ago was under a police state. The Stasi, East German secret police, their principal job was surveilling and the public, the general public. So I think most Germans are scared about the notion of surveillance. But look, there's very few places where there's 100% security, and it takes more than surveillance to get there.
Well, bring it back home to America, Colonel, for a second. Would we want more surveillance in the United States if that improved our security? Colonel, answer that one.
Well, remember quickly, there's two kinds of surveillance. There's technical surveillance, and we do have cameras all around for security, primarily used for forensic matters after an incident. And then we have human surveillance, where you have people watching other people and stuff like that. I think America is in pretty good shape right now, Stuart, because we don't have 1.1 million refugees, many of them who we know nothing about, like Germany has. And so Europe, Germany, other countries over there, they've got a lot of tough times ahead of them, and surveillance would only be part of keeping it all secure.
Same question to you, Ron Hosker. The quote is, you can only have absolute security in an absolute surveillance state, and nobody wants that. Your comment on that statement from Germany's Angela Merkel's chief of staff, Ron Hosker.
Yes, Stuart, I think that is largely an accurate statement. The United States is nothing close to that. We are debating here on a regular basis the level of security that we want, that we will tolerate, that we think will keep us safe. We debate that on a regular basis with the FBI and encryption and aerial surveillance and so many other things that the FBI does.
Well, do you want to see in America more surveillance of whatever type you're talking about? Do you want to see more of it?
Well, personally, I think that we need to enhance our security services here. That is law enforcement, that is the intelligence community, because I think look, I retired from the FBI 2 years ago. They are under great stress. It takes a lot of people to follow one target 24/7.
I'm going to interrupt you for a second, Ron, because I heard the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee yesterday talking about the police forces in Europe, saying they are overwhelmed. They just don't have the staff to cover the suspects 24/7 and give the kind of surveillance that they really need. I think you just addressed that, Ron, because we don't have the resources here at this point to do the surveillance we want. You're nodding your head, is that correct?
That is correct. You know, we have a different threat than Europe has. They have hundreds of foreign fighters, domestic travelers who've gone to the ISIS-controlled territories to fight and then return home. We don't have near those numbers, but we also have vast criminal threats here, and the FBI and law enforcement do not have the resources to put a bubble around each one of those potential targets and follow them ad infinitum. We do not have it.
Bill Cowan, our viewers are watching scenes from the Nice attack in France of July the 14th. That was an horrific scene. Do you think that our demand for more surveillance is a stronger demand when people in their own homes see scenes like that?
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure, Stuart, without a doubt. And when people hear about folks in a mall being attacked like they were in Munich yesterday, that makes all of us a little bit concerned. But look, to kind of follow along quickly with what Ron was saying, and I know our law enforcement and intelligence people are overtaxed. I think we beat back that bit of being overtaxed when we have a policy that says anybody who has any relationship, any communication with ISIS or Al-Qaeda or somebody else known to be a recruiter or a terrorist or an operations officer or whatever in the Middle East, that person, we don't just surveil that person, we arrest that person and we put them in jail, and we have mandatory minimum sentences of maybe 10 years. If I'm going to go out there and communicate with ISIS, I expect the FBI to knock on my door, arrest me and put me away, and not spend 2 years trying to come up with a reason why I ought to be in jail. I communicated with the bad people I deserve.
Ron Hosker, just 20 seconds, a technical question. How many people does it take to surveil one suspect 24/7?
I would say in the mid-20s. If you're doing it discreetly and you're doing it purely with physical surveillance,
so
you're talking about
over 20 people are required to have surveillance of one terror suspect 24/7. 20 people, more than that.
Sure, more if they are surveillance conscious, more if you're talking about a plane. It takes a lot of people.
Bill Cowan, Ron Hosker, both of you, thank you very much indeed for taking part in the debate today. Good stuff. Thank you. Next case, Bernie Sanders.